Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor's like Han and Horner, except you pay for mines, and they don't hit air. So the good thing is that you can have more mines, and you can just spawn camp. So all Raynor is gonna do is spawn camp, and if there are air units, someone else has to deal with them. So like, he can't do anything else. Like, what is he really gonna do? He can slowly get gas and build battle cruisers to help later, but
I think
early
you're a
on you
little
can
bit
like
underestimating P3, but
spawn camp the hero spawn point and the enemy spawn point, the regular wave spawn point. But if you don't have enough mines because of Avenger or something, then you're gonna lose all the mines, and then they will probably have a detector like an observer or an overseer that you can't kill, and then they will kill all the mines at your hero spawn camp point. Or like, yeah, if there are air units too. So any air units will ruin your day.
Yes. Lila said this repeatedly.
yes.
So DE.
My goodness. My goodness. Lila is that good.
Yes.
Lila is
yes,
that
yes.
good.
I'd say that you're probably going to want to use P3 Raynor here, because here's the thing: you're relying primarily on mines, which the mines themselves don't become more expensive because of P3, only the vultures. So it's a relatively small mineral increase if you end up against a ground comp, and you could just use mines and all that. And then against air comps, you are now slightly less worthless because you can just make a big blob of battle cruisers and have the Hyperion for everything, and you can spawn camp with the Hyperion. And then the Hyperion will be able to. The Hyperion can actually do a decent job fighting heroes. It does quite a decent job, actually. So, I mean, even with all that, you're still in the I can be helpful to my ally tier.
Takes
Like,
a bit of
he's
time
still
to get
down
to
in.
that point.
He's still down in E tier, like either way. But I think P3 will be much more helpful against air comps and only marginally less helpful against ground comps. So I would personally recommend P3. And yeah, you're gonna just be very on top of spawn camping, and use the Hyperion goodly. If your Hyperion dies, that's very bad.
So both of you say both of you are okay with E tier?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
He's just different Han and Horner.
Okay, Stat Boy, where do we have him?
Okay, so Stetmann is usually really, really good against Heroes from the Storm because of Zerglings. Unfortunately, his Zerglings can't kill heroes anymore because with Avenger, they have a whole bunch of armor, so his Zerglings no longer deal meaningful damage to them.
That's true.
And the Zerglings now run into the problem of, well, Zerglings always were a melee unit, so they always had only a limited surface area. So the amount of DPS they can get against the heroes is limited. With the problem of the heroes being Avengered, and that massively reduces your DPS against them, plus they're regenerating, you might run into the problem of your Zerglings struggle to keep up with the regen rate of the heroes. So yeah, you're gonna have a really hard time killing heroes. You could tank them for like forever, but they can tank you for even longer.
That's true.
Well, with that being said, it is still the same simple gameplay loop. If you take P2, you have supremely powerful Gary, and you have Zerglings and Gary go murder everything, and ideally you spawn camp with Gary, because otherwise you're going to have problems. But yeah,
it's a little tricky when we get Tempest Waves, and the Tempest Survive deals so much damage even to Gary with hybrids and stuff.
Or battle
not that I'm speaking from experience or anything. Not that I've failed twice with Lila or anything, but I'm saying it theoretically could happen.
Yes, while Lila complained about, can I have a ground comp, please, so Raynor cannot suck? Or, suck less, but, still suck because he's Raynor. But,
I'm not saying it actually happened or anything. I'm saying theoretically, Statboy could have situations where he doesn't kill everything, and the ones that are left do so much damage.
Especially Tempests are like the worst case scenario. At least battle cruisers, don't do that much damage to Gary after that, but Tempests are just gonna be like, oh, hello there, rips you to shreds.
My goodness.
They are very good at killing hero units. Tempests are very good at killing hero units for the commanders.
So
Just in general. Avenger Tempest cause problems for your hero units.
so ladder
Anyways, yes. I would personally put Stetmann in B tier.
B. How about you, Tutu?
So I also put him in B for the same reasons. He can tank for a long time, but he doesn't kill them. So options for killing the heroes include Brew Lord Yamato, the mecha whatever.
That's so
battle
expensive.
area
There's
lord.
no way I'm going. There's no way you're
The
gonna make
best
me.
choice is probably the Lurker's Focus Strike algorithm.
Oh,
whatever
I
that thing
didn't
is
think of
called.
that.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
the
what it's
super
called.
the super spiky thing.
The C where I think it's a C ability, and you just focus
Focus on the
with
hero.
whatever heroes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the best choice.
Should have
But
thought of that.
it's hard to dodge nukes. I mean,
You can use
kinda move away,
you can
but,
use
like,
that
you're kinda
tunnel of
busy.
terror.
Do keep in mind if your lurkers have energy lying around, they can always use the
Tunnel of
angry
terror.
burrow charge thing,
Yeah.
and they are invulnerable during that. So even if you are late to dodge the nuke, as long as you're actually casting the ability, you're invulnerable anyway, so the nuke won't kill you.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
gotta
Shadow
keep
Fury.
them at a reasonable distance, though. Otherwise, Artanis will start slashing the lurkers.
Yes, and then you have a problem.
The tunnel of
Yeah.
terror
You
is
can use
actually Shadow.
Ultralists, I think.
The tunnel of terror is
You
actually
can
Shadow
use
Fury.
Like Ultralists are the only unit you can make that won't get one shot by Zeratul just going, cleave.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I think he's definitely
Wait,
easy to use, and he can do stuff.
Does
but
cleave
he's
one shot?
not great.
Does cleave one shot Zerglings? Does it go through the shield?
True, it doesn't one-shot Zerglings. I forget. Yes,
okay.
of course.
That terrified me for a
Your
moment.
Zerglings don't care. But I don't think he'll target Zerglings because I think they have too little health for him to actually waste the spell on them.
That's true. All right, so that makes me feel less bad a little bit that you put Statboy in A and Raynor in E, and Lila got 60% of the kills because you guys both said that he doesn't do the damage. Raynor does the damage. Okay, let's close the book.
Stetmann is in B tier because his tanking is so absurdly good.
All right.
He's as high as B tier because his tanking is absurdly good. He's as low as B tier because his damage is going to have problems.
All right, so I'm not terrible at Statboy. Statboy just doesn't bring the damage enough to match with like a billion jillion spider mines of Lila.
Yes.
Stukov, where do we have him?
Man, don't you wish you were as good as the average Raynor?
Lila.
So, anyways, Stukov's usual, at least my go-to strat with Stukov against heroes is P3 mass bunkers, but that's not going to work with Avenger. And I don't know how good P1 is. I think that's pretty crappy. He doesn't spawn camp. He doesn't spawn camp. He doesn't do well against heroes. I think he's an F tier.
Interesting.
I think you are significantly underestimating P1 to put him in F. I don't think he's good, but he's going to probably... So, realistically, I don't know which will perform better between tanks and Diamondbacks too well because I don't have enough experience, but I know that Diamondbacks have ripped through some Avenger heroes in the past when I've had it in like Brutal Plus with a teammate who I could actually depend on to be good because I was playing Brutal Plus 6. So I know that he has a lot of damage he can bring with P1. The problem is that spawn camping is going to be possible but awkward, and you're still going to probably you're going to want very much to spawn camp with Stukov because with all the bad commanders you want to spawn camp. Even if they aren't good at spawn camping, they're better at spawn camping than at fighting the problem that results if you don't spawn camp. So you'll want to your tanks can deep tunnel. So if you're using the tank-based stuff, then your tanks can just like show up and say, hello, spawn camp. Okay, we leave now. Overlords can give vision for that and can provide the creep for that if you need, earlier creep. Or you can just mass Diamondbacks, and your Diamondbacks will provide solid damage against heroes. The only problem is how will you spawn camp that? You will walk up and clear the enemy base. And if you can't do that, you will have problems. I think that he doesn't have anything particularly good to support his ally, but he has enough damage to just basically he can pull his weight just fine and has better actual straight up army, like straight up fighting potential in his army than say Han and Horner or Raynor. I think he's still E tier. I don't think he's F tier. I don't think he's better than E tier though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an argument to put him
Sorry.
in D tier. I think, like
I
you could
won.
argue him is similar to Kerrigan, but I think he's E tier.
Sorry, Sticks, but I kind of spaced out. I was sort of not listening, still thinking about how good Lila is. That he. Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
He's just
I
dreaming about
apologize.
Arteta, stop simping.
Tutu, how about you? Where do you have Stukov?
I put him in F, but I feel like Avenger enemies against the Diamondbacks they're just gonna disappear so quickly.
Okay, so if it's not unanimous, yeah. If it's not unanimous, it's not
I know
F.
it's not unanimous, so it's gonna be E, but
I think I think that like the thing is he has one of the big things is that he can support his ally with just his top bar, but in the form of the Broodlings do a lot of tanking. That's really good tanking.
Oh yes.
I think a lot of people underestimate how good Infest Structure is at tanking.
Dudelings.
And then your Diamondbacks have 8 range, which means that they can, if the heroes don't have Avenger stacks, you can literally kite the heroes into oblivion.
Yes.
Like basically, I think that Stukov's basic deal is going to be, if he is spawn camping, then his Diamondbacks will just walk over the heroes and waves. As long as you fight them separately, your Diamondbacks will walk over them. It will not be a close fight. It will be a stomp.
Yes.
If you aren't spawn camping, you will have problems. Also, you can technically mass a bunch of swarm queens or brood queens. I think it's brood queens if you want, as well. In order to be brood queens have their spawn broodling is 300 damage. That only costs 100 energy, so they can cast it twice, and it's instant cast. So you basically have a 2 supply unit that can just
kinetic blast
instantly deal 600 damage. This is how you can tell heroes to go away. You have bad ascendants, basically.
They have kinetic blast. They have multiple Kerrigans.
Yeah. You just
flying
have bad
Kerrigans.
mind blast.
There it is. All right, so
Flying bad ascendants.
all right, so
but you're not
E
gonna
tier.
have like full energy for every fight.
No, but those are basically your
true.
solution to if a hero gets out of control for some reason, you can just tell that hero to stop. Bad. Go sit on a timeout.
All right. So
but ideally you're just going to use Diamondbacks and you are just going to spawn camp by way of I bulldoze through the base and I park my army here.
all right. Tychus. Where do we have him?
Tychus, Lone Wolf is super strong, but if
But-
you use
He
if you
said
use
but.
him incorrectly, you lose units and then you die. So I think the safest choice is P3
Ooh,
because
Dogwalker.
Olden is really strong. Olden's really good.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
P3, you don't need the nuke. You just need his fat body to hit
Fat
stuff.
body.
And then with the
I just need your
Yeah,
fat body.
I feel like if you're using Lone Wolf, people who are going to use Lone Wolf, they're like using just 40% of the power, meaning 3 guys are idle.
That makes sense. When you have a fat
So-
body, who needs Lone Wolf?
Yeah. But Tychus is extremely unforgiving. You lose Sam, you lose like you're gonna die. And Sam dies a lot. So I put Tychus in B.
B?
B. He has the
B.
power.
B as in big boy. Big
Big
body.
boys.
All right. How about you, Disbender?
I'm just gonna trust Tutu because I have absolutely I have very little experience with Tychus against Heroes from the Storm. Tychus is my least played commander at this point. I've actually played enough Dahaka to have more Dahaka than Tychus. So
Wow. I've
Yeah.
actually played a lot of Tychus on this map, and I have the same issue with Lone Wolf. You only get to use half your heroes, so I had him in C, but B is very okay with me. If now that I
okay
think of
with
a
B.
dog walker.
well, The only argument I have against B is okay. No, I wasn't sure. I had to double check. Did he actually solo it? Yes, Tychus soloed it. Yeah, he
A
can go B.
lot
A lot.
of lone wolf solos.
I only find one solo in the list.
Oh,
Anyways.
I found a few on
Chinese.
Billy. They weren't registered.
There it is.
You should dump them. You should dump them onto the list, I guess, then, so we can actually register them as having been officially done.
They're
Yeah,
like
definitely.
almost copies of existing ones, so I didn't bother.
Fair
They
enough.
do the same thing.
It's like
All
8
right.
different players, all did the exact same procedure with slightly different levels of
They're all fighting classic infantry, so it's like I'm not gonna bother. I
Well,
did
makes
register
sense.
the
you probably
P3.
put one because exactly. There's the only one that's up. The only one that's up right now is not P2 actually. It's P0.
That's interesting.
Oh really? I thought I registered a P3.
The only one that's currently on the sheet right now is a P0 run.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
I remember. Yeah.
So we should probably dump. We should probably dump the P2. At least one P2 run,
One
even
of
if they're all copies of each other.
One of the clones.
Oh, I put the P3 one recently. I added the P3
Okay.
one.
Well, all right.
All right.
I don't know. There's for some reason, maybe it's just my Google Docs is doing weird things. There's just an empty slot here where it just has nothing, no text at all, but it's right above the other Tychus solo. So I'm guessing that's supposed to be the P3 one. If my
I
thing
think I
wasn't having
deleted
a stroke.
something.
Well,
I deleted because of reasons. I forgot why.
All right.
well, anyways,
let me
who
see.
knows? We'll
Anyways,
figure it out
that's-
later.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. The point is, yeah, B tier makes sense.
Bicus.
I just wanted to double check that, like, I wanted to use has he been able to solo it as a double check to our analysis of his power level, and yes.
Oh, it was a
It's-
Stetmann run.
Stetmann
The
run?
one above the missing Tychus one was a Stetmann run that broke the rules somehow. I forgot
Wow.
why.
Oh, speaking of, I noticed the Dahaka one kind of sort of used the ally base to tank until it got to 1 hit point and then used dash solo, and that's technically not allowed.
Yeah, I'll look at that, but I can replace it with mine. So
Yay!
All right.
Dahaka still solos it.
All right. All right. So Bicus, Michael Jordan, bicycle is B. There it is.
Yep.
Vorazun, where do we have him?
All right. Here's the third one who had an argument for S. She is once again going, like, Vorazun is going to be very difficult, just like Abathur. I can tell you right now, doing things with Phoenix was a lot easier, but Vorazun has a lot more power if you get good enough. And Vorazun and Abathur are the two commanders who have been able to do like solos of this with like a bunch of other mutators, making it to some like harder than brutal +6 nonsense, and then Abathur and Vorazun just say okay and steamrolls
Against
it
air?
anyways. Against ground. Vorazun, I don't know what she's going to do against air, unlike Abathur, where it's like you just make a couple devours.
Vorazun
Perception
brags
check.
about adding mutators, but once you add air, he goes very quiet.
I wonder if someone could do just a solo against just these mutators against air with Vorazun. Definitely not me, but I'm sure someone could do it. Anyways, I'm pretty sure someone could do it.
All right.
Vorazun does a lot of like she's got a lot of solutions for the heroes with her powers of time stop black hole and stasis ward. Most importantly, stasis ward and disruptive web. Like so much for heroes. And then she'll just need to put way more money into actual units in order to deal with air units because she'll be making a bunch of Corsairs. Then is all that'll have to mean. Anyways, in terms of how that translates to average people being able to play her, I think she's A tier as well. I think we're just gonna have S-less week, honestly.
So the strategy here is lots and lots of crowd control, disruption webs, stasis wards with the upgrade that allows you to shoot stuff inside
And a
the web.
whole lot of Dark Templar. The bulk of your army supply is still Dark Templar. It's just
Okay.
that it doesn't take a lot of oracles, and it takes like 6 Corsairs and 6 oracles to completely crowd control Amon into utter oblivion.
That's
And then the rest
awesome.
is just Dark Templar.
That's awesome. All right. So how about you, Tutu?
If it weren't for air units, she would get S. So
Mm.
because air exists, air units plus Avenger is just a nightmare for Corsairs. The run against that I saw with Vorazun against the classic Protoss ground, Vanguard of Ire, the player researched Dark Archon mind control just to take the Arbiter.
That's funny. Oh
Just
man.
for
And that's
one
just
time.
an arbiter.
How
Yes.
much air does it take to make Vorazun not that good here? Does it need battle cruisers? Does it need tempests?
You don't
Or
want to be wasting black holes on air units. That's why.
so how much
But
air?
I think that if it was a straight up air comp, as long as it wasn't battle cruisers are going to be that's just terrible. But as long as it isn't battle cruisers, I think that a Corsair heavy Vorazun can probably do it. It'll be tighter to kill the heroes because you won't have as many Dark Templar to apply DPS on the ground. But it doesn't take that many Corsairs to just spawn camp obliterate waves that aren't battle cruisers.
I need to learn how to do stasis wards. That's probably the one strategy among the
Yeah.
original 6 commanders I haven't done yet. I need to learn how to do that. How many stasis wards do we just?
you black hole and then you dump a stasis sword right next to them.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And
And
then
can,
there's-
while they're fighting,
can
you
you
just
chain it?
randomly press T on the ground.
Yes, you can indeed chain it.
that's
You just stasis ward again.
I need to try that sometime. If it's that easy,
And
I need to learn it.
you can also
Yeah.
dump random stasis wards on the ground in case they walk into them.
Mm-hmm.
Do the
Obviously,
stasis
the
wards?
solo, obviously the solo runs do a lot of like baiting into stasis wards and whatnot, so they can save black holes. But you know, if you're not soloing, you probably have enough black holes to
Do the
handle
stasis
things.
wards expire?
No.
Interesting. Okay,
That was a
so
nerf they did to stasis ward in 1v1 because stasis wards were kind of doing things, and by that I mean people were just going triple Stargate Oracle every single PvZ without fail, and it was kind of broken.
okay, so I need to I need to watch a replay of that and then try to do it myself. All right, so Vorazun A tier.
A.
There it is. So close to S, Vorazun. So close to S.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, and yeah,
close.
against anything except battle cruisers, Corsairs can rip through airwaves really well. It's just a problem of now you're making Corsairs that don't shoot heroes, and now you have to worry about getting hero DPS, and everything's going to be a pain. She could still function. It's just suddenly it's going to actually require you to get good at Vorazun to a whole new level.
All right.
This, I will say that this was, so far of the runs I've done, this was the easiest one.
Interesting.
And my strategy was different from the existing ones because I'm not as good as her.
Yes. I found Phoenix to work the easiest for me with my doing stuff, but that's because I am very bad at everything that requires me to be on top of things. I'm just good at a moving an angry zealot.
For me, the best strategy is partnering with Lila. Mm-hmm. Works every time.
Get carried.
Get
Works
carried.
most times.
Anyway.
Takes a few attempts sometimes to get carried.
Zagara, where do we have him?
She is not as bad as Kerrigan, but she has armor shredding lings, which is great. Bile launchers to deal lots of damage from a distance. Baneling spawn camp, and Zagara can also deep tunnel to spawn camp if they're all ground. If they're not, then you probably want to. She can probably clear the bases pretty easily too. With that said, she might run out of gas, especially if you like waste banelings on the heroes.
Or if you fail spawn camping.
Yeah, or if you fail spawn camping. I do think that she's like, if you point the bile launchers in a certain area, you just like get the heroes to move there, then you deal lots of damage to them. And yeah, so
I feel like bile launchers against heroes is going to be something that's going to require enough being on top of macro and such that it's like, as long as you're correctly spawn camping, you're probably better just banelinging heroes and circlinging heroes, I think.
It's just like you can only have so many lings surrounding the heroes, right?
I guess.
So you want some ranged units.
Makes sense.
I
Um,
guess. Regardless, your primary priority will be spawn camp all the way as a Zagara hero unit. Use P3 so you have deep tunnel. Without P3, she's probably a lot worse.
All right. So
yeah, I put her in C.
okay. Interesting.
I
But
would say she's probably like C. And then if she's not P3, then she's like E.
yeah,
You need P3.
those
Or it
P1
doesn't
lovers,
work.
sorry. P1
Yeah,
is
sorry.
terrible.
It won't work unless you have a hero unit with deep tunnel. That is the thing that makes you good.
For those of you P1 lovers, it won't work because she'll run out of juice. If you're trying to hard carry, you'll run out of resources.
So
You'll run out of
if
stuff.
the heroes get Avenger, you will die.
You will
because you will
die.
run out of banelings.
You think there's more in the bank, and there is not. No matter how hard you inject, you can't get enough money. You can't get enough banelings to delete this map. Hard carry an ally.
Artanis with his 16,000 hit points.
16,000. My goodness. That's
Yeah, you do not have 16,000 hit points. How many banelings is that? Like the banelings do like 160 damage. I think it actually works out nicely. So they
100.
do.
They do
Yeah.
like 100.
100 banelings.
No, because you have the mastery gives them plus 30, and then you get your upgrades. I believe you get up to 80 damage, and then you get double damage against the primary target.
Ah,
So 100.
So I think they deal 160 damage as long as they actually impact the Artanis. If he uses a blade dash into the banelings, they now deal half the damage because they no longer are hitting Artanis at the primary target. They're just dying and exploding. So realistically, you're looking at around 130-ish banelings to kill just one Artanis.
and he revives, right?
No, that's counting his revive.
Oh.
But you're looking at 130-ish, and that's also assuming you don't lose any banelings to the revive, because remember he explodes during the revive. So if you micro really well, you can kill an Artanis with only 130 banelings probably.
But
One
hey,
Artanis.
if any of you guys in the comments can show me a replay of soloing this with P1 Zagara, I would be more than happy to showcase it to the rest of the world and say, "Ha in your face, Sticksbender and CTG and Tutu."
We somehow showed up
I
with
will-
8 million banelings.
All right,
Currently no one has soloed this with Zagara, so
Yeah.
be the
I
first.
don't think
That
I'm
hard.
following this with Zagara at any prestige, but hey.
All right, Zeratul, where do we have him?
He is probably A tier, I think. So Zeratul has, like Tychus, been able to solo this with a bunch of different prestiges. He's A or B. I'm not sure if he quite makes A when I compare him to Abathur, Phoenix, and Vorazun. He is. There's not really any one thing in particular either with Zeratul. It's like you have Dark Templar, very strong for deleting heroes and waves alike. They're not great against Avenger waves, by the way. If you're using Dark Templar, you have spawn camp. He has cannons, which can still function even if you do end up with Avenger heroes, although you still want spawn camp. Like no matter what, you want to spawn camp. And Zeratul's good at spawn camping because he has a hero unit that can blink 80 times if you have P2, or if you have P3, then he just tornadoes everything and it's fine. The point is you should try and full clear. You should try and spawn camp, and if you like P2, you can use P2. If you like P3, you can use P3. If you use P2, probably cannons. If you use P3, probably Dark Templar. But either way, you will want to spawn camp because Avenger heroes are going to be very difficult to deal with, but not impossible, because Zeratul does definitely have the firepower, just not easily, basically.
All right, so A or B?
I don't know. What do you think, Tutu?
I advise against using P3 because you want the third fragment so that the Dark Templar can revive.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important. Otherwise, they just keep dying.
That makes sense.
I don't know what he would do if there are more enemies. if there are air enemies, I guess Zeratul will be there to shoot them down.
Yeah.
And you can like hold them in place with a few projected monoliths or something. Yeah, I put him in A.
You can just go mass cannon, and then you can just like hold them in place by just being like, "Hey, here, have a few cannons to chew on." They have 18 armor.
I think if you choose to use the Dark Archons as your legion, you can take control of any Avenger big units, and Avatar also helps with that. So like if things get out of control, you can shrink them. So
shrink them, yes, that's good. I would highly advise against the Dark Archons, I think.
Usually, if it's not heroes, I would use them to steal stuff. But yeah, you probably use Telbrus for the spinnings.
Telbrus.
Nice.
But
He
yeah,
does
I put him in
everything.
A. I think he is good because Dark Templar with Revive, they do a lot of damage. P2, I don't think you should do cannons. I think you should still go Dark Templar.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can use a combination, or you can just use. There
You probably
are
use
solos using straight cannons on P2, like cannons and hero, which
Yeah.
works.
Cannons
both
are how
against
I.
Devouring Scourge.
Cannons are how I used, or what I
And
used to.
these aren't
beat this.
pre-nerf cannons, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
But
Cannons
you know,
are.
whichever style you are more comfortable with. If you know how to micro Dark Templar, you can use Dark Templar. If you don't know how to micro Dark Templar, but you know how to use cannons, then go ahead and use cannons. If you don't know how to do either, then
Try.
yeah, well, you probably
Switch to Phoenix.
Probably try the Dark Templar or switch to Phoenix. But Phoenix also has a bit of a requirement for knowing how to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Call Lila.
Anyways.
Yeah. A or B?
Yeah,
2-2?
basically the question is just A or B. 2-2. Do you have a name?
I put him in A.
A?
A? Okay.
So what do you think?
Okay, we'll put him in A.
All right. Yeah, I also had him in A because I still remember the first time I beat this when it first went live. I used Zeratul. I think he's been nerfed since with his cannons, but I will probably still use that because it's kind of so intuitive. Cannons are, yeah, even if you're not doing more than your ally, if you're just doing 50%, you can technically not be blamed if you lose. So there it is. All right, rankings. Who's the best among the A?
Vorazun.
Oh, I was gonna say it was Abathur. I was actually gonna say that it's the correct order right now, but maybe we could.
Can we bump Vorazun up to S just so she can have a singular S? just once. She tried getting a memorable boss, didn't quite get through. Can we give her 1 S this time, or no?
Yes, she can beat this mutation with like if you can slam in propagators and transmutation, and she can still solo it easily.
As long as it's not
Then you make
air.
them fly. And then you make them fly. Honestly, it's actually kind of funny watching the transmutation run. It actually made it look like transmutation was a buff for Vorazun because look at this, everyone. The air hybrid became a ground hybrid. It's easier now.
That's funny. So, yeah, do we give Vorazun an S? Or no? No mercy.
No.
All right, Vorazun top of A?
I don't know. I was actually thinking that because of his ability to just be like, I'm the only one who doesn't care if it's an air comp, I was going to put Abathur at the top.
You think Abathur?
I was going to put Abathur at the top because he's the only one who's like, if it's an air comp, nothing bad happens. Whereas the other ones are, well, Phoenix is heavily inconvenienced by an air comp, if not seriously problemed. Vorazun is seriously problemed by an air comp. And
True.
Zeratul, I think, is the bottom of A tier just on like straight up like he was not an S candidate. The other 3 were basically.
All right.
That's Zeratul's deal. So I'd say Abathur at the top because he just does not have particular problems with an air comp, I don't think. Phoenix next because he is the easiest to use if you are bad, like me apparently.
And like me also.
And then Vorazun, because she's very, very, very strong. But you have to be good, and they have to not fly.
Yes. All right. So do you
And then
agree to
Zeratul,
two?
because he wasn't an S candidate in the first place.
Do you agree to
Okay,
two?
yeah, I see that.
All right. For B, who's the best among the B?
Well, we can immediately say I believe that Stetmann is the bottom of B personally, so we can immediately get him out of the way.
That makes me feel better about myself. I don't suck, guys. I don't suck.
You only suck the way I suck.
Okay, so who's top of B? Karax?
No, I don't think it's Karax.
Daga?
I was looking at Dahaka, Tychus, and Alarak as candidates for top of B.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you go
One
for
of those three.
if you go for Dog Walker, Tychus does seem like a solid option.
The problem with Dog Walker is he gets wrecked early on unless you like know how to
Not die.
not die to Dahaka.
Yes. I think that probably we would say Dahaka then Tychus, question mark?
Yeah, Dahaka ate fake Dahaka. There it is.
Yeah, there's your early game.
Yeah.
You did it, everyone.
Dahaka ate fake
Dahaka
Dahaka.
survives the early game very, very easily.
Yeah.
That is.
And then
true.
later on, his pack leaders are very strong, regardless of prestige. If you use, I know that like a lot of people have often used P1 Dahaka even because P1 Dahaka is considered to have stronger pack leaders by some, many even. Like there are a lot of people who argue that P1 pack leaders are stronger than P2 pack leaders because
Because of
Dahaka
damage
being
output?
able to buff and heal the pack leaders is that big a deal.
Okay. So who's next? Bicus?
I think Tychus and then Alarak and then Nova. That's what I would say.
What do you think the two?
Yeah. Once Tychus gets going, you can once like you have Sam's gear, he's pretty strong, and especially if you have an ally to take hits.
All right. Sounds fair. So this order? Is this correctly ordered now?
Yeah. Nova above Alarak.
I think Alarak's better than Nova personally.
I think we discussed before that they're essentially the same commander, right?
Yeah.
They're essentially the same commander, except Alarak's a bit better at shooting Avenger air units.
Nova's a bit better at not being on the ground to get shot at by heroes.
Yeah, but then Nova has to worry about wishing she was on the ground so the heroes didn't just walk
Nova's
past her.
spawn camping is better.
Nova spawn camping is better, that's true. Yeah.
It's not by much.
Yeah. Like Nova is on the ground in the form of engineering base. She puts
Yeah,
herself on the ground because she has to put herself on the ground.
That's what
being
that's what being essentially the same commander means. Anyway, I have this 5 peso coin. There's a side with a face, and there's a side with a flower. So if it lands on face, we'll go with Nova over Alarak. If it lands on flower, we'll go with Alarak over Nova. Got it?
Alright, sure.
Alright, it lands on flower. Still lands on flower.
Right.
So we have Nova over Alarak.
But you said Alarak was a flower.
Really? There it is.
Yes.
Now I have Alarak. Now I have... Hey,
Rigged.
it's 12.
Rigged.
It's 12 22
You
a.m.
flipped it
I
twice because
spent-
you weren't happy with flowers.
I
so you flipped it again
spent-
to make it flowers.
I spent the entire day at the hospital. I'm allowed to be tired.
Understandable.
I came home
Okay.
at 2 a.m. from a delayed flight because of the stupid airport thing. And I had 3 hours of sleep because I still had to record the mutation video, the live version. And then I spent the entire day at the hospital because I had blood in my well. Let's not talk about that. And I got home at 10 p.m. I'm allowed to make mistakes, okay?
Oh boy. Anyways.
That's all true, by the way.
Sorry.
I'm not mad. That's all true,
Yes.
but I'm not mad. All right.
Yes.
I'll rock over
Anyways.
Nova. There it is. I'm just trying to make an excuse for being stupid. For C,
Yes.
who's
And
top
you
of?
also have an excuse for struggling with Stetmann too.
There it is. That's all. Even though Stet Boy was recorded 2 weeks before the whole thing happened, that's still the same excuse. There it is. Who's top of C?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
All right. Time to flip the coin again. And then
There are 3 of them though.
Where get your triangular
if
coin?
if it lands on the side.
Okay, hang on.
All right.
How about okay? If we here's the deal. If it lands flower, we do the rule of glowy eyes. If it lands heads, we do the rule of facial hair.
Facial hair. But who's glowy eyes between Arcturus and Swan?
Arcturus looks angrier than Swan. So obviously Arcturus is glowier eyes.
Wait, can we repeat that? Head, face is glowy eyes.
No. Face. If it's heads up, we do facial hair. And
Facial
if it's,
hair.
Flower up, we do glowy eyes.
That's gonna confuse me because the guy on the coin doesn't have any facial hair. Stupid Emilio Aguinaldo.
Oh no.
Anyway, all right. Face is facial hair. There it is. Face is facial hair.
Yes.
And flower is glowy eyes. All right. I hope I remember this time. All right, flower, glowy eyes, right? Flower, glowy eyes.
Yep, glowy eyes.
All right.
Zagara goes at the top.
Zagara goes the
She did it.
top.
Zagara's top of C tier, everyone. She did it.
She did it.
Her eyes glowed.
I'm so tired. I still have to cook breakfast for tomorrow. All right.
Anyway,
Who's top of-
Kerrigan.
Who's top of E tier?
Who's top of E tier? I feel like it's Stukov personally, but yeah.
Stukov? I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with any of these guys. They're all E. Yeah, they're all E.
Jimmy's the bottom.
Jimmy's the bottom. Okay, let's
I
do
think
glow.
Jimmy's the bottom.
Let's just do glowy eyes and be
He-
done with it.
Jimmy is the Han and Horner who doesn't shoot up.
Let's just do glowy eyes and be done with it. There it is.
No.
They're all
Okay,
bad.
I was gonna put Stukov above Artanis, but other than that, that's how I was gonna order it anyways.
They're all bad. What do you think, Tutu? They're all bad, right?
Guardian Shell is good.
So he's top of E. There it is.
Yes.
Guardian Shell is good.
In this case, that's the best he can do.
That's the best he can do. That's the best any of these 4 guys can do. Garden Shell. That's not
Oh.
true.
So I
I'm just
guess
too
I
used.
didn't
I'm just
use
too
it- I
used
did
to
not
being
use
the
an
one who's
E-tier
carrying
commander.
with Artanis.
What?
I'm too used to being the one who's carrying with Artanis, so I can't ever just rely on Guardian Shell to make my ally do things.
I used Zagara with his Artanis.
Yeah.
I thought Zagara wasn't that good, but I guess there are much worse.
Oh yeah, there's much worse than Zagara.
Zagara is actually in the mid tier.
At least Zagara can teleport to the spawn camp and then spit banelings at it and instantly one-shot the entire wave.
Yeah,
Then the
Zagara
heroes
is.
are lonely.
Step
Then the
Boy
heroes
is
die of loneliness damage.
loneliness damage. There it is. I said there it is again. My goodness. Anyway, how does Lila do it? Raynor is at the very bottom of E, and he like got 60% of the kills. My
Because
goodness.
Raynor does have Spider Mine. Spider Mines mean that on paper Raynor can solo almost everything that requires a DPS check, and this is the thing that requires a DPS check.
And as long as it
And-
says on paper, Lila's probably done it.
Yes, it's like if Raynor can do it on paper, Lila can do it, and Raynor can solo lots of things on paper because of spider mines, entirely because of spider mines.
My goodness.
And then in practice, it's like, okay, but if you aren't Lila, you can't do that.
All right, guys. If you're not used to soloing maps, you just pick one of the guys in A tier. If you have some experience soloing, pick one of the guys in A or B tier. If you're really confident in your abilities, pick up to C. If you're Lila, pick anyone. It'll work for you. Guys, watch.
No, I don't think Lila would do very well for Artanis or Haunted Horner.
Watch him. Watch Tutu and Sticks Better channels. I will link them below, and I will see you guys next time.